Today what we are going to talk about is how to picture walk through a book. Now some of you, that is a brand new topic, and it was to me also. My aunt is the one who introduced this to me and explained the importance of it. First of all, it's important because it helps the child with comprehension. And as my children have gotten older, my oldest is now a 5th grader, I've learned that comprehension is so important for so much of what he does at school. Second, picture walking develops an imagination, which is huge for children to have an imagination. It also builds interest in books and in stories. And this is important when the child gets away from pictures that and gets into chapter books, that they begin to have an interest and a draw into the plot. And the fourth reason is that it teaches children to use visual clues as reading strategies. And again, I told you this was super important for your child to learn how to read. And that's what this is going to do. Picture walking is giving the child the training to look at the pictures and get visual clues to help them figure out what the words are. So let's take some of the books from the ABC Jesus Loves Me curriculum. The first one here is one of our absolute favorites, and this is used in the 4-year curriculum, and Peanut has actually used his own money to buy the Mr. Putter and Tabby books because he loves them so much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain how to picture walk, and then at the end I'll answer your questions. Okay, so let's say today I'm going to introduce Mr. Putter and Tabby Bake the Cake to a child. I'm going to start by looking at the cover picture. We're going to talk about the title, and we're also going to talk about the author's name, Cynthia Rylant. And we're going to guess off of looking at the picture, what is this story going to be about? So if we look at the picture right now, we see that Mr. Putter is right here, and this is his cat named Tabby. And you can see that they're trying to make a cake. Now, when you talk about this with a child, you want to see and point out that Mr. Putter looks a little frustrated. So you wonder, will the story have some frustration with Mr. Putter trying to make a cake? And so you look at the picture and you start talking about, what do you think is going to happen in this book off of one picture and the title. The second thing you're going to look at is the title page. And again, this is a place to review the author, Cynthia Rylant, and the title, Mr. Putter and Tabby Bake the Cake, and then also who illustrated, who drew the pictures and painted the pictures to go. And in this book, it's illustrated by Arthur Howard. And then some of the books that you have are going to have short little chapters in them. And this is a wonderful time to work on numbers. So I always ask Peanut, how many chapters are in this book? And then he can look at it and figure out that there are 4 chapters. And so without him even realize, we've thrown in now numbers into reading a book. Okay, let's look at the next one. This is a book, If You Give a Mouse a Muffin. So once you have looked at the title and the cover page, the next thing that you're going to look at is each page. And you're going to slowly turn each page, and you're looking for the 5 W's and the 1 H word. And that is who, what, when, where, why, and how. And that's what you're discovering as you look at these pages. And as you look, you read no words. You're only focused on the pages. So look at these 2 right here with me. First of all, what is the moose doing? And that's what you would ask the child. Let's look right here. And what do you think the moose is doing? The child would talk about putting on a sweater. Well, what color is this sweater? It's a red sweater. And then go on to, how does the boy feel? Let's look at his face right here. First of all, he's looking at the spilt vase. And how do you think he feels about that vase? And talk about that. Then we can talk about when. When is this story taking place? And this is where the child has to use prior knowledge to come up with the answer. And this is probably a spring or fall, maybe even a winter, depending upon where. But we know that because the child is wearing a jacket, is wearing pants, is wearing shoes. The moose is working with a sweater. And so we know this is definitely not a summer time of the year. Okay, let's look at another one. And you would continue through these pages doing these type of questions. Green Eggs and Ham is a wonderful, wonderful book to pull out the pragmatics, which pragmatics is the silent communication, that social language that for some children, especially those kids who are on the spectrum, the autistic kids, that is so hard. And so picture walking can help the child learn emotions and learn the pragmatics. So let's say we're going through Green Eggs and Ham and we're slowly looking at each picture. When we get to this page, we could talk about how the character, he's showing us something. He's not telling us anything. We're just looking at the picture, but he's showing us. And let's look at his face right here. And I would ask the child, how is this character feeling? And the child would say, this character is angry. This character is mad. And then what the next important question is, how do you know this? And we could talk about his eyes are really big. His fist is in the air. He is angry. Then we could surmise, why do you think this character is angry? After looking at all these illustrations, what would make you believe that he is angry, and why would he be angry about it? All right, continuing through, let's look at this book. Let's say we are going through the book Corduroy by Don Freeman, and we get to this page where Corduroy is pulling on a button. And this goes back to our 5 W's and our H word. What is Corduroy doing? And the child would answer, pulling on the button. Why is Corduroy pulling on the button? Well, from the pictures, you maybe have figured out why he has, and you maybe haven't. And that's okay. We're just using our imagination about why Corduroy would want this button. And then the next question would be, what do you think will happen to Corduroy when he pulls on that button? And when the child answers these questions, some of the questions may be correct. Some of them may not be. But the point is you are helping that child develop their imagination, pull learning from the illustrations. You can also use this with the Bible. You can turn to any of the Bible stories. This one here particular Bible is the Beginner's Bible that I highly suggest on the ABC Jesus Loves Me curriculum. And when you look at this picture, you can see that somebody's very sad. And you don't know why that person's sad, but you would want to pull that out of the story from the illustrations, and that will also give the child more context as you read the story. The last one that I want to show you are the Bob books. And these are the books that I use with my children that I taught them to read, and I'm currently going through them with Peanut. And the Bob books suggest that you picture walk in them because it will help the child figure out the words. So when you turn to the very first page, you learn that this boy's name is Matt. When you turn to the second, let's go to a few more pages here. But when you look at this page, you can see that Matt is sitting. And so I would ask Peanut, what is this boy doing? And he would say, he's sitting. And I would always switch the word to the word that he will be using in the text so that he starts getting an idea of what language is going to happen in the actual text of the words. Then we would go through the entire book and look at all the pictures and pull out what he sees, talk about the sun, and then talk about the other characters and etc. Then after we have gone through the entire book that way, looking at only the pictures, then we would go back to the beginning, and this is when we're actually going to read the story. So we would read it very slowly, going to the first page, talking about what we saw in the picture and how that relates with the text. Without losing comprehension or without dragging the story on too long, we would want to continue with what do you think will happen? And then the child has not only read the text, but the child has had their entire world of illustrations, of imagination, of figuring out what do you think will happen, of cause and effect.